Sorry.
Oh,
all right. Anyways, it is what is the date today? Oh my god, I have no idea. What is it? It's March 8th, 2017. It's what?
8th of March.
I still well, you're in the same you're in a different you're in the same time zone as me. So it's the same day for you, Hogtie.
That's right.
Yeah,
Except I said it in French because my kid just asked me. Oh, never mind. I'll explain later.
Yeah, one language I
so
didn't.
Irritable.
You are irritable today. Yeah, but that's okay.
Hogtie's
Hogtie's PMSing. It's okay. He's a very irritable person today. Usually it's
we
Rumpus
can let him
that's
get away with
irritable.
that. Yeah.
Should
we put up with it for a bit then, Steve? Do you think we would tolerate him?
Well, this is kind of what we put up with you most of the time, Rumpus. Just FYI. So, take this to heart. But anyways, Rumpus wanted to have a hangout, and I sure the hell don't blame him. Of just the complete and utter dumbfuckery that's been going on in G Plus lately. And I mean, it has been an avalanche of dumbfuckery. This isn't your normal dumbfuckery. This isn't stuff that we have to like kind of, okay, let's see what happened, what this happened today, what this person said, and let's try and analyze it. No, this is outright dumbfuckery. I tried linking the thread to other people that we're discussing this with like C Brown. Unfortunately, it was made private, and so some people cannot get to it. I started another thread on my G Plus, but if you can't get to his thread, then we'll screenshot this or screen share it. It is just a riot, and it's funny between C Brown and Quantum Eraser.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my God, and Betty. That doesn't come on air, but writes, what is it, Betty von Helsen or whatever. And
is this the same thread that the Quantum Eraser is on then? Because I haven't.
Well, no, that's a different thread altogether. That's chock full of dumbfuckery as well, though.
Quantum Eraser is spreading around his dumbfuckery and filling up the internet with it, right? Okay.
But there just seems to be like this concentrated stupidity that's coming out recently, and I think they're all vying for positions.
It's gushing, Steve. What is going on with the gushing?
It's scary.
I've never seen anything like this. I got it. They know the system. They know that you can't win Dumbfuck of the Year 2 years in a row, right? So they play it smart. They go, well, there's no point in being a dumbfuck in September of a year. The true empiricism's got it hands
Wait
down.
for the new year.
Save it up. February, March, we start trotting it out.
But they're dumbfucks. They're not smart to think that way.
Yeah. That's what Tommy Hall did. Okay, this is why I'm irritable, because you guys are going to talk.
Go ahead.
Okay, because I hear from Tommy for a while, and Tommy's, like I say, Tommy's a nice guy. He's got that aw shucks cornbread sort of, he's a sweet guy stuff. But then he just comes out and he's like, well, it's good if you follow the Lord. And by the way, you're a pedophile, and Steve's a pedophile, and Rumpus is a pedophile. Everybody's a pedophile except for the people who really believe in God. And it's just like that annoys the shit out of me because. Wait, is
he back on that?
Well, yeah, he never left it. He said the thing a while ago. What it was is Tommy has always held the position, and the thing is, it's too late now. He can't even apologize for this, because Tommy has always held the position that atheists, not necessarily all of them, and not all the time, and not every day. They might take a day off, but atheists love ass fucking children. This is what Tommy believes, right? When he thinks about the word atheist in his mind, ass fucking children is the next phrase that pops into his head. We need to accept this is what he understands about atheists and atheism, the whole point behind it.
Is he really that bad?
He's not that bad. I'm exaggerating a little bit for effect. But we need to understand that he doesn't, like, he really, I mean, I don't want to.
He's one of the better ones, isn't he?
I know, but this is the thing. They cover it, right? Remember, this is, I'm going to tie this a little bit. I just want to say a quick thing about this, but now you got me launched on this thing. We have to remember, this is not about all believers. This isn't even about all evangelicals, but there's a subset of them who are, I'm going to say, Preet Wilson-like, in that they clasp their hands together and they love the Lord and they love the idea that the Lord loves them and they have eternal life and salvation. But packaged in that message is there's evil in the world. Where's the evil? It's here and it's there and it's there and it's there and it's that guy and that woman and that, fuck it, it's everybody. It's the whole planet is evil. Everybody's evil, except for these few chosen people, or the subset of the Christians. And by Christians, they mean the real Christians. So the atheists are evil, the Muslims are evil, the Mormons are evil, the Catholics are super evil, atheists are super evil. They should be mentioned twice because they're so evil. And when they hear something like, hey, did you hear about that thing where some people were like, like screwing and eating babies? Oh yeah, that's what's going on. That's the world. That's the thing. When you're in the Lord, you gotta let the world be the world. Like they don't even care if it's true, because in their mind, that's just what reality is. But they need to still walk around amongst us, right? I mean, if there's an atheist that hands out the tickets at the dry cleaning store, she still needs to be able to go to the dry cleaner and pick up her clothes when they're clean. I don't know why I'm assuming Preet has a dry cleaner. This might not have been the best crafted example when I started it. It made
Just
sense.
go with it. You're already going down that
Right.
road.
Yeah,
It's
you're
too
too
late
far
to
gone
take
now,
a
Hogto. We can't save you.
Yeah.
She goes to KFC, the color number at KFC, whatever I guess she's a vegetarian, whatever. So she has to interact with people. And remember that not that she thinks that evangelicals are perfect. They know that they're not perfect, but they do feel above sin because they're washed in the blood of the Lord. But everybody else, all of the unwashed, they suffer and actually engage in those evils that the believers resist. And they just cannot. They'll say with their mouths sometimes, well, I know some atheists can do some nice things. I mean, they're not all just super bad. They're not all murderers, but that's not what they think. That's what they say because they need to fit in with the rest of society. Amongst themselves, and certainly in their own minds, they know that everybody else is dark and evil. And there are these secret cabals of people who are rounding up children and locking them in the basements of pizzerias, and like they just honestly believe this stuff about us. And Tommy Hall is one of those guys. If you tell Tommy that, like, 100% of atheists watch porn, 100%, and they do it every day, he'll just go, oh, of course they do, of course, why didn't I think of that? Of course they do. If I tell Tommy Hall I don't cheat on my wife and I don't respect people who break their marriage vows, he'll say, well, you say that, but I mean, you're an atheist. So, oh, well, you're just picking up a little bit of Christianity because you want to seem nice. It's just, you got to remember, no matter what they say, that is their actual view. So anyway, the pedophilia thing, he did say that a while ago. He's always had that opinion. And then sometime last year, he actually came straight out and said it, that atheists are pedophiles. Not necessarily all of them, not every day, not all the time, but there's a lot of them that are. And people, that was the thing he said that was like, yes, now we got you saying it. Now you said it out loud. Now we're calling you on it, because that is not a cool thing to say. I had to come back and say, okay, well, I'm going to apologize for it. And his apology went something like, I really shouldn't, now that I said that, I really shouldn't have said that out loud. Was probably not a thing to do. But he still thinks it. And so even just today, he's popped in on a thread that I had made about how evangelicals will support each other no matter what. And he's popped up to say, well, the thing is, Christians are the only ones who engage in actual moral sexual congress, and atheists, of course, are all into pedophilia and bestiality and everything. And then he posts on another thread where I repost my own thread, and then he posts on there something about oh, well, did you know that Tom DeLay has revealed this secret DOJ memo where the liberals are trying to make bestiality legal and pedophilia and these 12 perversions? This is a not new story. This has been around for a while. DeLay gave this interview. DeLay's a nutter Christian, for those who don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know who that was.
Yeah, he was, or maybe continue. Where is he now? The House Majority Leader in the United States Congress, and wacko radical Christian, and he can come across as quite sensible, unless he gives an interview to a right-wing wacko radio station. He will say the craziest stuff that you'll just go like, Rush Limbaugh is smart enough to know not to say stuff like that. So he's referring to this secret DOJ memo. I'm meandering so much. I'm going to let you guys talk about it.
By the way, he was the minority whip.
For the whip. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
but he's So
he didn't know. He just served as majority leader. Yeah, he did serve.
He was leader. Okay. Well, Tom DeLay has seen this secret DOJ memo.
Speaker. Yeah.
Where they, the liberals, want to legalize all these perversions, and they're specific about it, like it's bestiality. They want to make a federal law. Just think about the legislative structure in a constitutional republic like the United States. That the federal Department of Justice says, we want to make bestiality legal across all 50 states. How would that even work? Like, how does it make sense to anybody? And yet, at the same time, that you ask them about, well, should we maybe have a law that takes the hand, makes it so that it's a little more difficult for the criminally insane people to get assault rifles? Well, you know what? We should leave that up to the states. We should leave it up to the individual states.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
whenever something like that, it's like, oh, that's up to the states. But no, we definitely need to get involved about not having bestiality and all the other
Yeah. But we don't want to just leave bestiality up to the individual states. He's saying
federal
that they want to make it like mandatory legal across all states, not mandatory for everyone.
Mandatory. You must go out and fuck chickens.
Yeah. Well, remember,
You're setting quota every week.
Yeah, there's a quota. You have to get a card punched.
It's a machine.
So we say we love animals. We love animals.
Yeah, and of course, Tom DeLay has seen this DOJ memo saying they're going to legalize these things all the way across the country. He's seen this memo, the secret, he calls it the secret memo of the Department of Justice. He's seen that secret memo in the same way that Donald Trump has seen the hidden microphones in Trump Tower. Right? He's sure about it. He'll talk to anybody who asks him a question about it. He'll tell you. But hey, how's about showing us this memo? How did you see it? There's a question for Tom DeLay. How did you see it? Did someone forward it to you in an email? Because that's the kind of thing you could post on your Facebook page. Hey, someone gave it to you in a piece of paper, scanner, Facebook page. You know, there's a way to share this information. You don't go find some. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just bickering with Tommy about this stuff because he comes out and says, well, you know, atheists sure watch a lot of porn. Really? Because man, if I could keep up on the level of porn watching of your average evangelical in Kentucky,
which is actually mostly transsexual porn, by the way, in Kentucky.
Yes.
That's
I know.
true.
So someone else, I'm tired of arguing with Tommy. Somebody else join in that.
No, I don't. Okay, I gave up on Tommy really kind of having any kind of physical discussion with him because I learned that Tommy really would rather just try to push your buttons. That's all he tries to do. He doesn't care about civil dialogue. He will make things up on the fly just so he can try to push your buttons because that's what he is. He likes to troll. He's actually admitted this. This is not a big secret. And I like to have conversations with people that actually believe what they believe. And I realize that as soon as somebody becomes a troll, I never know what they actually believe at that point. And it's just not
coherent though.
He's
he actually can put a sentence together, unlike
no, Tommy's not a dumb guy. I mean, he's not, well, relatively speaking, this is a gradient scale.
He's dumb.
Yeah, let's get this in mind here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, relative. Yeah, relative speaking. I mean, but in comparison to like C. Brown, he's definitely epically less stupid. But of course, he's very difficult to talk to for the same reasons. I mean, they completely make things up on the fly.
Well, I've seen Tommy actually make some sensible noises about genetics and epigenetics. And
he used to, not so much anymore.
Oh, I haven't seen a post of this for a couple of months. Okay, yeah.
I mean, but C. Brown completely just takes things and runs with them half-ass, right? I mean, for those who are not following this thread, and this I think is what sent Rumpus over the edge. C. Brown actually suggested that Walt Brown's hydroplate theory was viable, and suggested that there would be vast amounts of pressure on the hydroplates being forced down, forcing water in the atmosphere, going like 26 miles in the atmosphere, freezing, and then striking the moon, right? And forming the crater kind of thing. This is like
and this is why he cited the PZ Myers post, didn't he? Because that's where someone's saying a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, would you believe that? Sorry, Karen.
I was just saying, well, you made urology, myself, and numerous other people, including Rumpus. We're pointing out to him the amount of pressures that would be involved here, and it'd be in the zettapascals. We're not talking, gigapascals. We are talking zettapascals. These are enough pressures to literally blow up the sun, right? And he doesn't understand that he's using a pressure cooker analogy, and he says, "Well, it's a pressure cooker. That's how it works." Well, a pressure cooker has a rating, and if you push that rating trillions and quintillions of times greater than that rating, that pressure cooker is going to blow up. So literally, he has destroyed the earth by promoting his theories, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care that his model literally would destroy the planet. And then he tries to defend these things by the most outlandishly stupid things, by saying things like, I enjoy this one. And by the way, Abade's out there listening. I didn't know what he was talking about at first because he didn't call it Z-pinch. He called it Z-pitch. Yeah. And I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about with Z-pitch. It didn't really dawn on me that he was talking about Z-pinch of a tokamak reactor. But he's trying to say that lightning can cause Z-pinch. And Z-pinch is basically this way you take electromagnetic fields and they're so strong that between them press and start fusing in the helium. It's basically a way to do a fusion reactor. rather than using lasers like they do in the Nova system. He's thinking lightning can cause this type of electromagnetic field, yet it's actually two electromagnetic fields that are together causing that constriction, right? Think of it kind of like a Venturi thing, where you have a constriction of the electromagnetic field, and that's causing compression, that's causing it to heat up. What planet is he living on, Rumpus, that he thinks this even makes sense?
I was having problems enough with was a week or so ago. He talked some utter bollocks about biology, and then to see this utter. Have you seen the papers that? I don't know if people can aware this. He just cited in your thread that you started up again. I didn't go through all of the idiotic one about the pressure cooker thing where Rational was suggesting lifting the lid off or something of the pressure cooker, which is just incredible by itself. And then this sort of Debunking theory and it's like one side of the moon or whatever it was he was saying. Therefore, how come that one side's roughed up and the other one's nice and clean or something? I mean, oh god! But this post he's just made, in which he cites, as some sort of add to his credibility, he cited about 3 or 4 papers. Some of these duplicated. The first one of which is some Ukrainian thing, which is in some sort of journal called Infinite Energy, and it's clearly made up. It's clearly someone who's practicing a joke, or is so utterly deluded. I mean, it's in a journal called Infinite Energy, so I mean, I suppose that gives you a clue as to what's going on here. Or it looks as if it's a journal from Infinite Energy. It is the most extraordinary piece of junk I have ever seen. And someone's actually thrown in a couple of integrals, a couple of distributions of elements and things. But it is the most amazing piece of concoction of gibberish. And then he's followed on by a post that PZ Myers has received some utterly delusional post by someone claiming to be doing a PhD in geophysics, who was claimed that he was trying to justify the 40 days and 40 nights of Noah's flood raining or something, and he just randomly cited in this post to PZ Myers various geological facts, and I mean, it's the most random collect. If you just randomly collected a few geophysical terms, just threw them in the thing, and then said, "I want this to make up Noah's Ark," that's the sort of post. And poor PZ Myers is faced with this piece of randomness. And then, would you believe it? This piece of randomness that PZ Myers says, "What have you been to high school, etc." Where did you get this collection of quotes? Effectively, he was saying, and then this idiot moron C. Brown then just linked to this as though. No, sorry, Fiona, I didn't. As though this was some sort of. He said it was a paper. This is a post on a blog paper.
Yeah, I know.
Saying this guy is a nuts, effectively.
It's kind of like the natural news of physics, right?
C. Brown.
This was not a real legit publication by any stretch of imagination. And
C. Brown has cited this as evidence for some position to do with this.
It's kind of like the Onion.
I mean, it's. And then he cited something else. He randomly cited this Sandia National Laboratory. I must admit, it claims to be under the subsidiary of Lockheed Martin, but I must admit, they look like a rather peculiar thing as well. But presumably, it claims to have 10,000 employees. But it had a bit where it had some lovely picture of some magnetic fields constraining something, and they're doing something on fusion work, and so therefore, it's vaguely relevant to C. Brown's point. But I mean, even
I remember this journal's name before. It maybe just refresh my memory. This was the journal a long time ago that was pushing for cold fusion, not just being some kind of exothermic chemical reaction, but actually being the fusing of lighter elements at lower temperature
into amazing multiple hundreds of elements. I mean, it's Ukraine. I mean,
well, he said, and explain this one to me, Rumpus. He said that quote. According to what he thinks that science said, right? According to him, the Big Bang produced all the heavier elements, and they later decayed into the quote 94 natural elements.
Yes. I mean,
what the?
It's too much of it, Steve. I've been overloaded.
I'm not even exaggerating. Is that literally what he said?
I can't remember, but I must admit my brain has been scrambled.
Elements, all the elements, and they decayed into. I don't know. We pull up 94, but he placed in all the other natural elements.
It's in true empiricism's very best grammatical form as well. I'm sorry. When you start reading the torrent,
talks in his phone, right?
Yeah, that. But
this is not something that was a phone issue. Yeah, this was the fact that he literally thinks that the Big Bang is where all the heavier nuclei was synthesized, and then all of a sudden, I guess they started decaying.
I think it's worth
the other element on Earth.
It's worth looking at this paper, which is the key thing in the thing he was presenting. This, let me show you. I'll screen share it. This thing here. Where is it? Abstract. Here we go. This is worth sharing. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that, Steve?
Yes, I can.
Right.
I'm just trying to get some people in here. They're asking to get in.
Right. So here's the abstract. And it suddenly talks about something called super heavy clusters. I think that's trying to refer to the number of protons. It's not entirely clear. And it randomly throws. I mean, it's by some Ukrainians. It's supposedly published in this thing down here called Infinite Energy. I haven't bothered to find out what it is. Issue 54, Infinite Energy. It's claimed to be by some Ukraine. I mean, just look at just read the English here. One of the proofs of the artificial origin of the elements produced in the laboratory is in the range of atomic masses of neutral isotopes. Yeah, here we go. Atomic mass is 240. Is a significant, sometimes by tens of hundreds of times of change in the natural isotope ratio, which dominates the entire substance of the solar system. I mean, that's almost C. Brown gibberish. It is. One more confirmation of both of the collective self-compression and the formation of the collapse is presented by the discovered effect of the transmutation of any kind of radioactive nuclei into non-radioactive ones.
What the hell are alpha, beta, and gamma active isotopes? which I mean, it just throws in. What does it even mean? I never heard of that before. I'm sorry. And I took nuclear physics. Okay, I mean, but I did study nuclear physics for a while. And I don't know.
I mean, just the language. I mean, someone like Fiona, who's familiar with just scientific language you use, he says here in every experiment, the collapse is completed by both the full and nuclear regeneration of a portion of the initial substance with a mass of 0. Just the language of the portion. And the formation of artificially derived chemicals instead of the initial atoms. You know, this is not scientific language. I'm sure Fiona could easily realize. Look at this diagram here. The transmutation of nuclear to different is a coherent driver. I mean, you could just this is someone that's some kiddies come up with. And here we've got a diagram that's a little bit more sort of looks vaguely sort of scientific-y, but then we've got some other.
It kind of looks like a Mae West curve, which is called a fission yield curve now, but
right. But this is all. It throws in a couple of integrals and things, but all of it is clearly just gibberish.
Can somebody refresh my memory as to what he was trying to demonstrate by linking us to this?
Yeah, he was
somewhat crazy article.
This goes back a little bit, actually. This goes back to him claiming that we have never found spectroscopic evidence of heavier elements or isotopes in stars.
I'm sorry, I just interrupt you really fast. You know what you always have to include in every peer-reviewed scholarly work, and that's a picture of your building.
I look high tech though. Yeah, that's laboratory.
Why? No one cares. I mean, a picture of the equipment, maybe, I guess, but the outside of the building?
I have no idea.
I mean, here we are.
Sorry, continue.
Setup of the second generation of what? You know, I mean, it's just.
So what he did,
here we are, along with a spectrum of a pulsar quake. I don't believe that.
Well, let me give a backstory on what actually started all this. Like I said, he had said to me that we have never found spectral lines, absorption or emission, or in to determine what was the heavier elements in the stars, because he doesn't think that stellar nuclear synthesis happens. Now, I pointed out to him that's complete bullshit, right? And he happened to send a paper, right? A link to an abstract only. It wasn't the actual paper. I actually had to get a hold of General Han Solo because it was behind a paywall. He found the actual paper.
Look at that phrase there, by analyzing the results of all experiments. Oh, good. He's done some analyzing. We found a great number of elements and isotopic anomalies. I mean, this is just, sorry, Steve. Language.
It's rubbish. And so he had got this particular claim from a creationist webpage that had quote lines. And the quote was something along the lines of, quote, we have not been able to determine spectroscopically the heavier elements in this system, or something along those lines. They're referring to a very specific thing. If you read the actual paper, they're talking about a compact binary system, which is 2 neutron stars that have orbited each other and then impacted, and they basically obliterate each other. And this is not where these heavier nuclei are usually formed. And this was a specific instance of an example of this that they were referring to. They did not say that we've never found emission or absorption lines in spectrums from stars. That's just ridiculous. There's a whole field dedicated to this subject called spectral analysis and spectroastronomy. And he didn't seem to understand this because, one, he didn't read the actual paper, because I know he didn't, because, again, it was behind a paywall. I had to get it from General Han Solo, who was nice enough to found it, which he did in a matter of almost seconds. It was scary. And then when I confronted him on it and said, hey, this is obviously a very specific instance of a compact binary system, I never got a response from him. I still haven't got a response from him of why. And not only did he get the information wrong, he actually took the quote that's actually in there and added words to it. He added words to it and then quoted it. And that is the sign of somebody who's not only ignorant, but is duplicitous, that doesn't care whatsoever if he gets things right. Yeah, it was the quote that I found from the creationist source was exact. Okay, but of course they took out half of it, right? They only took the lack part. You know, it was like dot, ellipsis, dot, 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 and then the quote. He took that and then he actually added a word or two here. So,
well, let's not forget, this is the guy who cheated on that question of the Dreadnought posed and went off and stole an incorrect answer from a Yahoo Answers about the some genetic issue.
Oh, that was just a coincidence.
It was a coincidence. Sorry, I had the wrong headset and I was listening. Sorry. I'm sitting at my computer. Well, hey, I'm 40 seconds behind. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
He did it again. I asked him, I'm sorry. Did I say I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it. I asked him on a question on another thread about 2 weeks later. I said, well, if that's true, then what's the mechanism for whatever? And I got back this very that's obvious, dude, and then this very articulate, well-written, correctly punctuated, correctly spelled response to it. And I went, let me pick about 5 words out of that and search Google. Sure, he did again.
Yeah, by the way, this is actually TST Lite for this week because JD didn't have a TST, so this is going to be the light version of it, I guess.
Oh, look at this. Look, here we go. Both the compressed target and the system of driver ensuring the super compression were in a vacuum system. Oh, right, thanks for that. Which guarantees maximum purity, control over experiments, and their reproducibility.
You know, this kind of reminds me of, like I said, Hogtie saw it and Fiona saw it. When Tyler and I were just going back, just throwing out random words, scientific words, and putting them all together to mean absolutely nothing. It's not hard to do, right? I mean, it's just you could sit there and just type. I'm sure any of us could, if we wanted to, could probably write something that sounds legit, that's completely bullshit.
To an idiot, yes, to an idiot. Yes. Which, of course, is what we're dealing with. This guy just clearly has no ability to distinguish between someone pulling his chain and a poke in the eye. I mean, and what sort of mentality do you have to go and cite a blog by PZ Mars, basically citing a random email he got by a nutter? I mean,
well, by the way, glad you mentioned that. I'm trying for this, Christopher. Do you have Saturday or Sunday? PZ Miles will be back from this trip, and he wouldn't mind joining us in a hangout to talk about Dr. Tompkins' latest Debunking the Debunkers blog that he had. He actually wrote a little article on his own blog from freethoughts.blog about it. And after I noted it to him, I don't think he's seen it before because he asked which one we were referring to, and I showed him. And then a couple days later, he put a blog post out for it, and so he said he would be able to join us this weekend, perhaps, if you were able to. Would that be cool?
Yeah, no, I can make that.
All right. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be interesting. I know he has no love for Dr. Tompkins.
But I guess staying on the topic at hand, though, I'm amazed that Brown always likes to go back to the pressure cooker example, right? Like, you know, if you pressure cooker, you know, you can heat water well above boiling. Actually,
under pressure.
That's the thing he misses.
I don't think like that he cares much about that little problem.
Water pressure anymore, and it blows up. And you know, like he's talking about temperatures that would boil anything. Like,
well, yeah, he's kind of like Neffy. He gets a little bit of basic concept, a little bit. I mean, minuscule. That he does understand that I think pressure is required to keep water in a liquid state. I think he gets that. But his reasoning is that there's no limit to that. There's no upper bound of some sort. And yet he doesn't seem to realize that there is a structural failure that will happen in any system given enough pressure.
The upper bound is determined by the material properties of the thing that's enclosing it, right?
Yeah.
Come up with, you know, let's use the classic term, you know, unobtainium, right?
Unobtainium
shell, right? That's
unbreakable,
completely indestructible. Well, then I guess there is no upper limit. You know, you just keep on putting energy in, and the temperature will go up, and the pressure will go up, and it's not the way reality works. Eventually, there'd be so much energy that you'd have really weird physics start to happen. But
I mean, here's another thing. He talks about the impulse electron beam with a total energy of at most 1 kilojoule. Electron beams don't have energies; they have power. If you really wanted to. Well, I don't quite understand. What? It's just. I'm sure that should be in power if you were trying to be sensible about this. This is just. Oh God! This. Who are these people? What has he found?
I mean, unless you're going to talk about it in terms of like, you know, per shot, as it were. But even then, you wouldn't use kilojoule.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
unit electrovolt.
People like this, the charlatans, that the likes of Matthew Horbury, you know, attract to, you know, and they think these guys are wonderful, and they're just full of shit. It's
got an integral sign paper.
Well, yeah, it's fabulous, isn't it? And it's things like that blow Matthew away, and he goes, "Oh, you're gonna watch this. You know, the guy knows so much, and you know he's talking so much sense." And this is full of total shit. And the likes of Matthew, because he has no understanding of physics whatsoever. He soaks up this shit. He doesn't understand a word of it, but he soaks it all up and goes, "Yeah, the guy's got it all. You know, it's fucking brilliant." It's bullshit.
It reminds me. I had a roommate that actually was proud that he had written some paper on anti-gravity, right? And I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't even know basic calc. I mean, he's no way he wrote. He doesn't know anything about physics. There's no way he wrote something. So I actually tracked it down. Come to find out, if you read it, it's like, what the fuck? He actually copied pretty much verbatim Wikipedia and put it in and called it a paper. I'm like, wow.
Here's the science blog. Here's the blog from BZ Myers, and this is. I've been reading a book and enjoying it. I know you aren't joking, but mentioned stating a coalescing of hydrogens and oxygens above perhaps a single vast continent brought on 40 days of rain.
Yeah, it's laughable.
So wait a minute, he's thinking that the rain was basically hydrogen and oxygen just coalesced.
Hydrogens, yes, and oxygens.
Okay, protons and you know. So wait a minute. What does he mean by this?
It's coalescing, Steve. Don't you know about the coalescing of hydrogens?
Hydrogen and oxygen coalesce.
And this is what C. Brown cited as a paper for us to look at as support of his position. I mean, oh, dearie me.
Yes, coalesce would mean to take a bunch of stuff and it become one unit. But I never really would refer to that as coalescence. I don't know.
And here we are. Volcano interiors sometimes generate inner lightnings. Earthquaked continents sometimes do. I mean, obviously, I mean, I presume this guy's first language is not English, but what? Well, I don't know. I'm not. I think yes.
What was that about lightning? Read that again.
Oh, the Z pinch.
Read that bit again. Volcano interiors sometimes
Volcano interiors. Here we go. Volcano interiors sometimes generate inner lightnings. Now there is actually, if people remember the account of the Vesuvius eruption by, is it Pliny the Elder or Pliny the Younger? Well, Pliny the Elder, I think, from when he's watching Vesuvius across the Bay of Naples. He describes lightning coming down from the volcanoes, and so they do that when you have the mega pyroclastic flows. You do actually get lightning, and I think we've even seen. I think
you do.
Yeah, I think we've even seen it on
but it's
the Icelandic
in the cloud. It's in the cloud. Yeah, you can see
that's
it in
right.
Just about every volcano eruption. Go on YouTube and look, and you'll see that in the cloud.
It's not in the magnitude.
You'll see the lightning, and it's again, it's the same as what happens in the atmosphere when we get lightning. It's those particles rubbing together and creating static.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's so many particles in such a small area, in a big cloud off a volcano, that lightning is very common.
Yeah,
it's not produced inside the volcano.
That's right. Inner lightnings. And apparently earthquake continents sometimes do as well.
You've got some Nassim Harameyn's publications, and this is kind of shit that Matthew Horbury is gravitating to. It's incredible. The word salad is so laughable. It's incredible.
Yeah, anybody who's not mentioned, go and look up Nassim Harameyn if you want another sort of guy who talks about, goes on. Well, actually, he's done this video, this guy, Matthew, we sometimes have interaction with, who was a flat earther, is a flat earther something. And his video consists of women running, smiling women, smiling children, running on beaches, slugs and things, and going up forests and drawing triangle shapes around geometry around leaves and things. And then suddenly it will then, it's lots of space. So lots of pretty pictures, and then randomly he'll make some sort of spiritual statement about physics or something like that, and the connectedness of everything.
You guys notice that
bangs on about Planck constants. It's just
they have one thing in common that always stands out, and they all do this, almost all of them. Quantum erasers are famous for just doing this as well. They always love to do their arguments by selectively quoting other people, right? They never try to argue their own point in their own words. They always say, oh, look, this is what was said in this obscure thing, or this quote selectively quoted. And it feels like you're forced to try to argue with the person being quoted rather than the person making the argument. And that's why I really hate this type of format when people say, oh, look, well, here's this reference that says this, here's this reference that says this, because you got to go through, well, I don't anymore, but most people would have to go through and look at each source, find the actual citation, and find out the actual context of it, you know? You don't know the context, and these things are just, they don't mean anything.
I mean, this guy's just posted at PZ just a series of random.
And why PZ?
Don't make any sense. And this guy's called Rick Keane. So, I mean, he should be bloody English then. There's no excuse for that. And apparently he's doing a PhD in geophysics with respect to how lightnings can synthesize and disintegrate, e.g. by building up free neutron density and interactions every time. Oh, come on, this can't be true. Someone's having a joke here, aren't they? This is not, PZ Mars is having a joke with us, surely.
A lightning bolt is an example of a Z-pinch discharge.
Oh God, I just haven't got that far. Oh, this is it. This is the site. Oh my goodness. So somehow C. Brown has seen this and just thought, oh, I'll quote that then. That'll be, I've got some random quotes. Oh, he's got a quote from Lawrence Krauss. Lawrence Krauss quoting Lorentz. Oh, he's got some random quote about forces between magnets. And the fact that, okay, yes, okay, we know that. Yes. Why are you quoting this? This is something you learn about when you're about 15 in physics.
That's just the Lorentz force equation.
Yeah, I mean, oh, he's talking about pinch effects, right? Yeah, I mean, this lightning. So it's
I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, I would like to know what was the actual reference by that? Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, I could understand that you could use artificial type, maybe lightning, to try to like. You need more than one thing. You would try to like have multiple strikes and then have like a confined area and get something produced. I get that, but I don't see how they think that would happen naturally in the atmosphere. Right? I mean, how does that occur? When you have a Z-pinch, you're inside of a system. You're inside of in the tokamak. You actually have a cylindrical, toroidal shape, right? Yeah. So you actually have a confined area. That's why you can create the Z-pinch. So if you want to use lightning to do that, or electrical discharges, I should say, would be a better way of saying it. Sure.
Well, it's a magnetic field that creates the pinch.
Yeah, it produces a magnetic field, but how does that happen in a atmospheric condition in order to cause?
There's no constriction here. Yes,
there's no constriction there. Yeah, I mean, how are you going to create heavier elements? And here's the thing with C. Brown. I don't even know if he recognizes that fusion actually is a real thing. I mean, he was actually saying something along the lines that fusion has never been, observed or something. It was him or no, you know what it was? I mean, let me take that back. It was Orphan Red in one of her videos was saying that we've never had fusion, and yet we've had fusion for a long time. What's that?
I'm pretty sure that C. Brown accepts that you can get fusion up to iron in stars. So he at least seems to accept that, right?
I'll take your word for that. I have no comment.
I thought the point was he was saying to Steve, one of his posts is saying to Steve, look, this is the account that I've got for. Doesn't he say somewhere down here, Steve? Don't know what you're talking about. Yes, he's responsive to Steve. He says, "Here we go."
I love your post. You are stupid.
Oh, I was just overcome. Here we are, because the Big Bang, and so Z pinches nucleons. They struggle with also, and the Big Bang could not create.
That's complete nonsense. How would there have been lightning anyways during the Big Bang? He thinks that the Big Bang produced heavy elements. And again, I concede that you could theoretically use.
He says creating the higher elements. You see, so he thinks it can't be done.
He means higher than iron.
Higher than iron. Okay.
You think so? Okay.
But these higher than iron, most of them produced are in stellar explosions, right?
Right. But
what's iron 50 or 58 is being produced in a star, as you know. You're not getting any more energy out of the fusion reaction.
So
right?
That's the thing that he doesn't accept. He draws the line.
All you got to do is look at the fission yield curve, and you can see if you look at a fission yield curve, if you can actually look on there, look at your how many protons you have, so your atomic number, and it'll show you where on that curve you are and how much energy required to make the fusion or fission happen.
What's it called? It's R process, isn't it?
Well, R process is a system where you have fast neutrons quickly changing the isotopic number.
R process in supernova that
Rapid.
creates the right. So that's the thing. That's the thing that he rejects.
Well, we've seen our process happen. His thing was he said we've never seen our processes occur. Again, this was cited from a paper that was specifically only talking about the compact binary system of neutron stars.
I'm just trying to help, because I can kind of read Brown's language. So I'm just trying to help explain where he's at.
Well, you look like you're right. He's already proven that you can't fuse past iron. So yes, it looks as though that he's when he says heavier elements, he's referring to those greater than iron.
Okay, so he's he's taking an article again. This is what he loves to do. That's only saying that in this particular situation, they have not seen heavier elements fuse or our processes occur. But that doesn't mean that we've never seen them in other stars. I mean, how could he actually think that we've never done a spectral analysis of stars and not seen heavier elements, or supernova after they explode? I'm just completely amazed by his claims here.
I mean, would you, in any sane person, ever cite this as evidence for anything? I mean, this guy.
Well, again, this is what they do. They just shotgun versus verbal diarrhea of shotgun.
It's a Tommy Hall special. go away and randomly cite a paper that actually contradicts what you're saying.
Which they never read, right? I guarantee it. They never have gotten and looked at the actual citation. This is where they were getting this whole Z-pinch and lightning thing. Sure, they may have done artificial experiments using electrical discharges or lightning to produce a Z-pinch. Fine. But I'm not seeing at all how you relate that to lightning doing this and producing heavy elements. And here's the thing. If this was the case, how come it doesn't happen today? How come we don't have uranium falling from the sky? Every time there's a thunderstorm, we're all bombarded by thorium and uranium and iridium.
This is very much in the style of John the Independent Variable, isn't it?
It is. Except less bold and italics.
Flinging a load of random philosophical quotes from random things, including YouTube videos. I mean, he cited one thing from some saying that something like Newtonian mechanics didn't work. It turned out to be a quote from a YouTube video by some lecturer in quantum mechanics, just starting off his lecture describing quantum mechanics. It's just casual, not something he'd sort of considered really. It was just a sort of off-the-cuff remark. And he quotes that from a YouTube video, gets that down, he agrees with what it says, and then posts it and then cites it to the lecturer and takes it out of context, and that's it. And then bang, you've got a quote that he can use from then on instead of actually making sense in a...
It's a new go-to journal source. Obviously, people are placing more precedence over actual peer-reviewed papers by giving YouTube videos a higher degree of confidence, and I'm finding that to be disturbing. I'm trying to make a video now. I've spent a day and a half of it already. I'm using new software on Orphan Red's video, and it's challenging. Again, I don't even know if I could finish this because I'm not that good at video editing, so I may just make it shorter. We'll see by next week how it comes out. First of all, I know you didn't like the voice that I used, but I've actually worked with it and got it to be a little more phonetically correct.
Oh,
so
great!
So this would be a little bit better. But I'll talk about if in case I don't do this video, I'll talk about one thing she had, which is very similar to what C. Brown is bullshitting. She actually thinks that the sky is blue because of fluorescence.
Well,
yeah. She was quoting some other flat earth nutter, and she was trying to relate that since in a fluorescent light bulb, you have fluorescence. She's under the mistaken thing now that the gases are what's fluorescing. It's not the gases that fluorescing. The gases get excited in a fluorescent tube due to high voltage. They produce UV light. That UV light strikes a phosphor coating and then gets absorbed and re-emitted in the visible electromagnetic spectrum. That's fluorescence. She thinks this happens in the atmosphere. So she doesn't think the sky is blue because of Rayleigh scattering. She thinks the sky is blue because light's coming in and fluorescing with neon. I should be fluorescing with nitrogen and oxygen.
Well, that's a different color, isn't it? Because when nitrogen is green and is it not? Or is oxygen is green and nitrogen is
with right combinations you can get blue. I'm not worried about the color, but the whole process of fluorescence doesn't work that way. You would have to have like a glass dome, which maybe the firmament has, but that glass dome has to have a
She's talking about the Aurora Borealis.
I know. I was like, is this chick serious? I wrote her. I tried talking to her on Twitter, and I asked her to come on, and she's like, "Well, I watched one of your videos, and you just seem to be a bunch of 105 IQs talking to 80 IQers." And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. Yeah, she was not impressed by my channel. She severely overestimates her own abilities because I've watched numerous ones of her videos, and the dumbfuckery is real. She thinks the moon is flat.
You okay, Fiona? You keep on
Yeah. All these alternative theories she has are just mind-bogglingly dumb, just ridiculously stupid. And so I told her, I said, I'll give you a chance to come on, and you can make your argument. But she felt that wasn't appropriate. But she did admit one thing I thought was great, Rumpus, and the takeaway from talking to Orphan Red was that she admitted that on her channel it's not set up to actually give a model for flat Earth. And
yeah, but models are pseudoscience anyway, remember?
Do you know who she is? Have you ran into her before, Fiona?
Oh, is this the girly, super feminine? She makes sort of...
Yes.
Oh, I
red
did.
Haired.
Yes.
Feminist.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's very artistic and sort of she did a bit on perspective and things. And Yeah, she does like.
She's got arts and crafts ability. You know, she makes her videos are not like they're like, you know, like subpar, but her understanding of science is wretched.
Absolutely, she has not even the most basic idea. I mean, but she seems like a charming sort of feminine, sort of arty girly, but that's about it. Oh, poor girl. She's also desperate for some credibility. She was complaining that someone had stolen her idea about the fact that when you zoom into something, it comes back. Something that supposedly goes over the horizon, and she claimed to have made the point that comes back into vision if you zoom into it. And she was complaining some other flat earther had stolen her idea, and she wasn't getting the credibility. So I think she feels a little bit underappreciated in her little world. She's
a flat earther. She's definitely underappreciated. Because it's comedy gold.
She's a harmless little thing, but yes, I think she's.
Well, I don't think she's harmless. People do pay attention to these people. I don't think there's anything harmless by promoting that degree of dumbfuckery.
I agree with Steve in a way.
Oh, you're right, phone. You seem to be groaning quite a lot.
She's trying to picture this glass dome of phosphor over us.
Okay. It's the sort of groan that can easily be interpreted as you expiring. That's all. It's just.
Yeah, just about. I'm losing the will to live here.
Oh, dearie me!
I'm completely losing the will to live.
Yeah, it's.
Is it getting worse, Fiona? I mean, are we just noticing the dumbfuckery more? Are we more hypersensitive to it, or are these people really going out of their way to say the most outlandishly, scientifically stupid things possible? I mean, C. Brown's threat alone should win him Dumbfuck of the Year. I mean, it's just chock full of dumbfuckery.
Yeah, I honestly don't. I don't know.
True Prince got worse. I mean, a year or so ago he was just stupid, but now we've got the water DNA degrading water, and the whole sort of other things.
Randy's old hat. Randy's Pat say, you know what? Really,
but I was just looking at the profile. I was just looking at the profile of people who start off in a certain state, and they gradually seem to get worse and worse as they get into more and more extreme situations. That you see this deterioration in so many people.
I'm having Mr. Intelligent Design back on this Friday, 9 p.m. my time. So 2 o'clock his time in Japan. So 9 I know, unfortunately, Fiona would probably not be awake for it, but she can watch it the next day. But yeah, that's going to be a treat.
I watched that guy. Steve, I watched Mr. Intelligent Design.
What'd you think?
Can somebody give me a link to some timestamps or something? Because I tried to watch that, and I don't know. That was just so painful.
I don't think I couldn't
watch it. I couldn't watch it.
Which one?
Timestamps I should check out.
Mr. Intelligent Design.
Okay, yeah. Let me address this first, CRISPR. I was again. Oh yeah, you go.
This real quick. So bad that PC Myers he actually said his brain hurt when he watched that.
Yeah.
PC Myers was like, "What the fuck is this?" Okay, go ahead.
I couldn't, and then Steve was going to remember. I was in a hangout of his briefly the other day, and he and a couple other people who had been involved or watched the hangout were saying, "Oh, this was like one of the 5 weirdest ones," which means best in our community. Bad equals good, and I said I couldn't watch it, and I'll always admit this, Steve. If I watch something, I think it was good, I'll go, "Well, that was really good," and then sometimes I'll just go, "I can't even watch it. I can't even watch it."
Sure.
But he goes, "No, it's really good." I said, "Okay, I'll download it. I'll put it on my phone. Next time I have a drive, I'll listen to it, but it better be a very long, very boring drive." And Steve and the other guys in the room said, no, you got to listen to this. And so I have downloaded. I'll put it on my phone and I'll listen to it. But now CRISPR, you're saying that you struggled as well.
I just could not take it. I got about maybe 15 minutes in, and you have to understand that if I'm doing one of these, right, like I'm just listening to it in the background while I'm doing something else. So if I can't go past 15 minutes when I'm doing something else at the time, it's bad.
So you didn't get about an hour in where we were just oh my god, it was gut-wrenching laughter. Yeah. It was so bad.
That's what I was told too. You got to sort of get into it.
I was like, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I'll commit to it. I'll give it a go. Go ahead, Chris.
Through the hangouts where they're just boring, like flat out boring, because they're harmless, they're innocuous, they're just in the background. It's just background noise until something funny happens.
Watch the part where he's
painful.
Dude, watch the part where he starts explaining his experiment with eggs and tissue paper.
What?
That's his experiment for intelligent design. he had an assistant. He required an assistant for this, supposedly, that he took a tissue paper and dropped an egg through it. And then he added another piece of tissue paper and dropped an egg through it. And he kept repeating this, right? No control conditions, just somebody dropping an egg on it until it didn't fall through anymore. And then a light went off in his head and said, "This is evidence for intelligent design." That's it. I'm not adding or removing anything from that experiment that he supposedly did to demonstrate intelligent design. I can't make this shit up, man.
That was too. I couldn't watch it. I really couldn't. It was just
fucking
too
hilarious.
It was too painful. I'm with CRISPR. You can't.
Dude, the one on Friday is going to be on evolution, so it's going to be a hoot.
Right.
I want to make it to a weekly thing. I'm going to be like hanging with Mr. ID, man.
No, don't do it, Steve.
Oh no! I'm doing it. It's already done. We have
God.
at least an hour every week with this guy. He is my new Ronnie. At least he's nice about it, right? I mean, I told him, dude, you were going to be my new Lulz Cal. I'm not bullshitting with him that I think he's fucking dumber than rock, and that I'm just using him for entertainment. I've told him this, right? I don't want him to think that I'm like taking him seriously. So he knows this. He doesn't care. He's like, it's platform. So.
Oh my God.
Oh God. It'll be somebody asked in the live feed. It's 9 o'clock my time on Friday. It should be so far. Yeah, his name's Edgar, and he claims he's a scientist. I'm like, you've never done anything in science. Well, Fiona, he claims to be a civil engineer, right? And George, you're gonna appreciate this one because you're a physicist or a background in physics and math. He said that he's a civil engineer from the National University of Manila. And yet he admitted that he's never had to take any college level physics.
What?
Didn't you say he didn't know how to differentiate or something?
Dude, we asked him what x squared was. He had no the derivative of x squared, no idea. We asked him what is x cubed equals 0, right? Not a difficult question. Couldn't figure it out. Yeah, he thought the derivative of x squared was 0.
You're talking about math that I learned like
in
maybe sophomore. Well, I mean,
yeah. I don't like sharpshooting, right? But I mean, for a civil engineer to say they forgot maths, I'm assuming they forgot how to do a McLaren series or something. I'm assuming they forgot to how to do triple integrals. But for a civil engineer to say they forgot math and they don't remember what a derivative of x squared was, I gotta throw the bullshit flag.
No, can I throw a calculus note? It's totally off topic. Don't let me derail the conversation. Everybody remember where you were? I was bored. I was stuck in traffic. I phoned my brother, bringing the kids back, so I put him on speakerphone. Hey, uncle, and he's turning 50 this year, and I say, hey, remember I told you you never die in a day. You learn something new. So here we go. You ready? Here's your question. Right now, velocity is the first derivative of position with respect to time. Okay, so everybody knows where I'm going with this, right? Everybody's been reading about this in the last week, what's happened this week.
I think I heard the story before.
Yeah, so I said, well, it just happened an hour ago. You didn't hear the story before. You heard, if you've seen the discussion that we've been having about this, and I think, Steve, you were tagged in this discussion. So I said, what are the names of the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth derivatives? It was, well, the third derivative is acceleration, and then... well, then the change in acceleration would be, what is it? It would be in meters per second to the fourth power. No, it's the third power. Okay. Oh, yeah. He goes, I don't know. So then I told him, it was to the punchline. I said, well, it goes position, velocity, acceleration, jerk. He goes, oh, I think I remember hearing about that. I said, yeah. And then snap, crackle, pop.
Yeah.
And he goes,
I did that.
There was this pause where I thought there's something wrong with the speakerphone or lost connection or something. He goes, you made that up. Just straight out, he goes, you made that up. There's just no way that's true. You're at your desk, get on Google, look it up.
Is it really?
No, it's true. No, pop would be like six derivative when you take whether your displacement or your position with respect to time.
Yeah,
it is true. Right? But you forgot one actually though.
No, I said acceleration, jerk.
There's one other one.
Snap, crackle, pop.
What's the well? There's another word. There's another name for snap. The fourth derivative. It's called jounce.
Oh, Jounce. Well, I think that was an earlier name before. I don't know why there's Jounce and Snap, but yeah.
But I mean, by the time you're at those things, if you're not at 0, I don't know what the hell you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
Well,
what are you
erratic...
dealing with? You need to take the 6th derivative or something where you're not having a 0.
Well,
you're not getting 0
playful.
yet.
They're playful to come up with stuff like that. But I tell you what I found interesting about it was when I said, you're making that up. And no, and you're at a computer, right? And then sure enough, I hear clickety, clickety, click as he's typing on his computer. And he's like, well, I'll be damned, And it's like my own brother, right? Like, this is the thing about skepticism, right? He's not going to call me a liar. Maybe it's a little bit of a joke, or maybe he's mistaken. But I'm going to check it out before I repeat this to somebody else.
That's healthy skepticism, though.
Yeah, it is healthy. Yeah.
Well, but if you're joking with him, he doesn't want to be caught out by a joke.
Now, Hogtie, you reminded me of something. Old SMBC Comics cartoon, right? So it's multiplication is repeated addition, exponentiation is repeated multiplication, is repeated exponentiation. And then a student asks, "What's repeated tetration?" It's penetration.
Penetration.
Is it?
Well, the next one. Well, the next one after that. And what is sexation?
By the way, I have a personal issue.
What is sexation? What is sexation is going to be the name of my new hit single.
What is sexation?
Yeah.
What is sexation, baby? Chris, I actually don't like to think of exponentiation as repeated multiplication. I actually think that's, it holds true for natural numbers, obviously, but I think it's conceptually misleading because it doesn't really show the person conceptually, spatially, how things go more to three-dimensional form, right? So I don't know. I think that they shouldn't be taught that explanation is repeated multiplication because it's really, in my opinion, not.
Actual terms are pentation and hexation, but just so that it's not out there that's actually true.
Huh. Well, I would say, please get us back on topic. But okay, I'll throw out here. 3 blue, 1 brown. I think it's the number 3, the word blue, the numeral 1, and then brown. Please, math nerds, if you think you get it, or if you just are curious, you just want to learn, see some good sort of visual descriptions of some of these principles in math, go to 3 blue, 1 brown. And don't do it while you're doing the dishes. Like, sit and look at the screen and listen to this guy talk. And I'm telling you, I thought I got math, and I'm not saying that this. I mean, it opened my mind. It's just so good. That's there. Let me finish that. It's so good. 3 blue, 1 brown. Pick any video randomly, then go search through for some titles of topics that you're interested in, and just good stuff.
Is that your numeric 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3. The word blue, the number 1, and the word brown. Yeah, I've heard of his stuff. He has videos explaining convergence series and divergence and infinite summations, things like that.
I just watched that one on Euler's formula and introductory group theory. I salivated. I was like,
dude, I tell you, when I first learned about Euler's theory and Euler's identity, I thought I found the holy grail of mathematics.
It's a little religious, a person might say. It's a bit spiritual. I was more grounded.
It really is. I mean, if you know what's funny? If people want to argue intelligent design, they should probably go from that kind of perspective. It wouldn't be good argument, but it's just like, holy shit, this is like elegant.
Yeah. Well, the thing I really like this one here because I was really into group theory when I got into abstract algebra. I just this was around the age, and people might remember me having said this in a couple of hangouts. I know I said it once in a Magic Sandwich show when everybody just went like, "What is this guy talking about?" I said it sort of jokingly, but I don't believe in subtraction. Right? Like
you just believe in negative addition.
Right. Yeah. Addition of negative members of the set. Yeah.
Right.
And
that's I think in mathematics.
Yeah, and the same thing. Division to me is a silly concept, and it just makes so much more sense.
Well, no, division is actually defined for a field.
No, there's there's a schism.
There's a schism because division is actually something that's actually defined. Because you have what?
Okay, we've already established that Hogtie can always subtract by adding a negative number. I want him to explain how does he divide without dividing. If all he can do is multiply.
Because in mathematics, the only things that are defined are addition and division. Those are the two things that are defined. Multiplication is not well, multiplication is defined as reciprocal division, the reciprocal function. But I mean, you clearly have division because I actually remember what it was. It's something like x and y elements of G such that P over Q equals 1. It's defined to be.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's actually in real analysis. It's actually something that's actually defined. But yeah, here we go. Euler's formula. Actually, that's not Euler's formula. That's Euler's identity.
He's not going to put me to the test.
Euler's identity. What's that?
Yeah. Well, no, there were a couple of things I said that I one day I said I didn't believe in gravity. That may have been a mistake.
You know gravity exists, and knowledge is a subset of belief. So
I know Aaron and DPR were just like we're getting so much mail over this.
I don't believe in gravity. That's like a Weird Al song. I don't believe in gravity, baby.
Well, I've taken steps to clarify what I meant when I said I don't believe in gravity.
It's a theory.
It's just a theory. Well, that's actually what started it, was that somebody had said, well, it's just a theory. And then somebody else had said, as the retort always goes, the rejoinder, this is going back 5 years ago. People would always then say, well, gravity is just a theory, ha, ha, ha. And I would say, that's really funny because I accept evolution is true, but I don't believe in gravity. And, people would write, and I did try to explain later, but you know what people are like, they listen to the sort of like, why did that guy say that stupid thing? And then when you go to explain it later, I mean, the people who listened to that episode where I gave the clarification kind of went, oh, okay, I see what he means. And I don't think I should have
a flat earther. We get it.
Yeah, no. Well, what I meant to say was, that gravity even exists in a flat Earth. What they're objecting to is the idea that mass attracts each other. Some of them, not all of them, say that the Earth just accelerates upwards. The whole system accelerates uniformly. Which, by the way, I have finally conducted that experiment, which proves that is not the case. Because regardless of the shape of the Earth, if the entire system were accelerating uniformly, then every gravity vector would be parallel. The whole system is moving in one direction and being accelerated in one direction. So all those gravity vectors would be parallel. And I've run a 6-mile course now, and I demonstrate that there's enough departures of the zenith lines, or to say that the down vectors actually converge at a point somewhere between 5,800 kilometers and 6,400 kilometers, that it's just like the Earth's round is what I'm getting at. The gravitational field is curved.
Well, the video that I'm trying to make, I actually have an explanation. I mean, I actually go into explaining Newtonian gravity as applies to gravitational forces in relativity, right? Because in relativity, gravity is thought to be as a distortions in space-time produced by math, that light is faster. Light is actually just following the National Geodesic curve. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant to say. Or I didn't mean to say. I meant to be clever. And I do what you're.
But
you get it. Yeah. And some people do. Like,
sure.
and as soon as I say, well, that's what I mean. I'm not. I don't think that object masses are attracted to each other like magnets are attracted to each other. I think that things are following a straight path in their
because Newton is actually an inertial force or a non-inertial force, and then in relativity it's a fictitious force because okay, and
everybody goes, oh, okay, I see what you mean after the fact, right? I mean, the triangles thing, at least people still find funny, but the I don't believe in division thing, I think is sort of.
Do you want to know the flatter? You don't want to know what this orphan read in that same video? Do you want to know what she was suggesting is what we quote as mislabeling gravity? She thinks that what we're mislabeling and calling gravity is an interaction of electromagnetic radiation from the sun to the Earth.
God, this lovely.
I can't even wrap my head around.
Okay,
that.
All right. Why don't they just go whole hog and just say there's angels sitting on your shoulders, and that's why you don't fly up?
Well, that would be a fine model as long as it just quantifies. I mean, gravity is an observed effect, right? I mean, the actual
suggesting that if the Earth and the sun.
No, hold on. I have a question.
Forces.
How would
they not be going on the sun?
Wait, if there's no gravity, how would the angels sitting on your shoulders have any effect on you?
Well, they have wings, right? They flap.
They would have to be pushing down
the force
through the power of Jesus
off the face of the Earth.
Yeah.
So when you jump, they just flap their wings less. That's all.
How do you get from electromagnetic interactions? I mean, obviously the suns and the Earth do have electromagnetic fields. They do interact. If they didn't exist, you still would have gravity. How is they making an argument that we're somehow misunderstanding electromagnetic radiation for gravity?
They just love electromagnetic radiation. They're addicted to it.
Well, she's also an EU theorist.
Yeah. Well, these are the same people. Who's it said the other day? What might have been a C. Brown post? C. Brown was in a hangout. That's where I heard it recently. I think it was one of G-Man's hangouts where he was explaining about how for these things to happen, it requires some sort of a power, and we all believe in a power, and that power is called energy. Right. And I remember thinking,
power is energy. No, power is
energy. I know. I thought as soon as I heard that, I thought I got to send email to Rumpus about this. Call him up on Skype and say, somebody actually said that power is power.
I get really upset about power and energy being confused.
Yeah, power and energy and force and force and power or force and energy. Those things just all being used interchangeably.
Pressure.
I got to do
that.
Momentum. Throwing in momentum as well gets me annoyed. Kinetic energy, potential energy, all those.
No, Rumpus, is that not true? They think that every one of these terms is synonymous with every other term. Oh, I can use power and energy.
Yeah, it's magic.
Wattage, and everything's synonymous with each other. Not understanding that each one of them has a very specific meaning because they're all measured in specific.
Well, Steve, you're wondering about this, and yet not too long ago we were in a protracted debate about whether or not dissolve and degrade mean the same thing with the same community. Yeah, of course they think all of these things are the same.
Well, Trey Jadler, of course, didn't understand what energy was.
If you keep it up, I'm going to get Simon, and we're going to explain to you how rockets fly using angel farts.
Oh, rockets are always good.
But not in space, right?
Yeah,
they use angel farts, okay?
Yeah, Chris, but it doesn't surprise me. It's not like I'm taken aback by this, but it's just something that we find that it's just ubiquitous among creationists and creatards and conspiracy nutters and flat earthers. They all do this. It's something that every one of them.
Well, Steve
doesn't want to bother with the nuance of what these words actually mean.
Firm grasp. If they had a firm grasp of the science involved, they wouldn't be creationists.
Or that's not true. No, I'm going to disagree with that. There are PhDs that do understand the material. I just think they're dishonest about it. Though they don't accept it, right?
Yeah,
because they'll say, okay, this is what science teaches because they knew enough to actually get their degree and regurgitate it. But then they say, oh, well, I don't believe any of this stuff, even though they wrote their thesis.
You can memorize. You can get through organic chemistry, but if you memorize a hell of a lot of stuff and don't understand it, right?
High five. That's what I did.
That's what a lot of people
That's what I did through economics.
Believe me.
That's exactly what I got through economics.
I didn't learn organic chemistry until I got to biochemistry, and then I actually understood organic chemistry.
All right, I didn't understand organic chemistry until after I started doing hangouts with you guys. How bad is that? But you know what? I've learned nothing. I've learned nothing from true empiricism. That's something that me and Antonio Fletcher have in common. Learned not one thing.
And G-Man admitted it too.
Was it G-Man who said that?
Oh yeah, G-Man. Don't you remember? It wasn't recently. G-Man was in a hangout with Dragnon, and Dragnon got G-Man to admit, he's like, oh, well, you know what? I don't know anything about ATC synthase. I don't know if Ronnie's right on any of this stuff. I have no idea what he's talking about. He actually was saying this. I couldn't believe it. I was like, so shit, for 3 years, where you can look and see, your own research, what he's talking about, or even that the whole degrade dissolve thing, you haven't even bothered. And he's like, well, I just don't care much about it. I'm like, this is your science guy, man.
I'm so glad you did that in that hangout. But I mean, my favorite part was that then afterwards when G-Man went back to his own channel where he couldn't be interrupted and muted by Steve McRae, and then he's talking to Antonio, and he tells Antonio that this was going on, and Antonio says straight out, I haven't learned a thing from true empiricism.
Did he?
Yes.
Wow.
It was awesome. That's my favorite quotation from the whole thing.
Steve, is it okay if I give the link to Heavy Hauler?
Of course you can.
I'm just checking before I throw it around.
The rule is you guys give out the link to anybody that you guys trust and anybody that we know. I mean, that's always.
I'm just asking because I don't know who else might be coming in, right?
No,
you're gonna.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, he's good. You're gonna let Rumpus wanted to complain about something, and I know it's my fault. I know where he's going. I think. Is it the word Hoover?
Another Rumpus rant.
I was on the verge of a rant there, but I think I've lost it now. I'll get back to you on the rant.
He's still interrupting when she's talking.
That's right. Now I remember now. Now you reminded me of a rant. Yeah, now I've got it now. Yes, rant history delved into. Yes, you and your that rocket thing you mentioned on the that rocket video. The rockets don't work. With that guy who had balloon blowing up. You posted that, but as well as having about 300 posts, we both all Dinah Cat Loves Me or whatever, and myself and Bert Sticks, we all blocked one another as a result of the anger.
Listen, I followed that thread. I did, and the funniest thing to me about this was when it ended up with you guys having to admit independently that your other halves had hidden the vacuum cleaners because you were all doing weird things to the Dysons.
The experiments came to an end as a result of vacuum cleaner stealing.
Yeah, your brilliant experiment, which was to empty a bag of dust onto the floor while holding the vacuum nozzle. And I thought, if somebody's other half walks in as they're pouring dirt onto the floor in front of a vacuum cleaner, blood will be spilled. And did it not occur to any of you? This seemed to pass all of you by. You were all talking about how far away the nozzle was, right?
Yeah.
And you were all looking at 20 centimetres. And you were saying it doesn't even move a tissue at that distance. Bollocks. It wasn't 20 centimetres away from the end of the straw. And the straw was fixed.
That's the very point that I made. That was the very, very point that I made, and that Dinah Cats didn't get.
20 cent. It was not. It was actually sucking on the end of the straw, the plastic.
Exactly.
But you three guys are all doing these home experiments with your dice.
But this is why.
Hold on, okay.
Yeah.
Fiona, I was trying to hold on, Fiona. I completely agree with you. You well spotted, because you spotted exactly my line. But I was trying to invalidate Dinah Cat Loves Me approach, and he was talking about the front. He was talking about the air pressure that was being exerted on the front of the cart, and that was 20 centimeters. So I was busy trying to invalidate his position, not trying to validate my own theory.
Everybody here is missing something about vacuum cleaners. You see, when you want them to suck something up, they don't, even if you take the thing and bang it on top of the object in question. If you don't want them to suck something up, they will suck it up from across the room.
Yeah. There was even a conversation about when they last cleaned their HEPA filters to make sure the suction was...
That's right. Both Bert and I had done it quite recently, yes.
But this is why the group of us are friends, and why it's best that our spouses don't watch, so that they don't know what the heck's going on. But we get caught doing it. Fiona gets caught by her husband.
Actually, you know what? I gotta say.
I get caught eating fatty ice cubes.
Yeah, Fiona's trying to light us know.
This actually would make me look good in comparison.
It would have been funny, trust me. Go ahead.
So what was that whole say? I missed that.
CRISPR was.
Hang on, CRISPR.
It's unfortunate that they use the term suction, for vacuum cleaners and stuff, because it's just air movement, high pressure to low pressure,
Yeah, but how else can you do it in one word?
I want to hear what Hogtie was going to say. I want to laugh. Hogtie, finish your comment.
Well, they say in comedy timing's everything, but no, Fiona gets caught trying to light a snowball on fire, and Rumpus is dumping out the vacuum cleaner dirt onto the carpet. His wife catches him. My wife comes into my wife's, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just in the kitchen extracting DNA into a spoon. She was, I'll go do it in the bathroom like everybody else. It's like, that's gross.
This is
we did the strawberry thing we did with the strawberry in the dish soap. We did the DNA thing here with strawberry dish.
I will never. Sorry, okay.
Just so you don't get the channel flagged.
Yeah, I'll never forget that night, because it actually, my son got a real fright. He really did.
Is mom burning ice cubes?
That's right. He went away up and he woke my husband up. Dad, come quick! There's something wrong with mom. Why? What's she doing? She's trying to set an ice cube on fire. I mean,
finally lost it.
It's for science. Leave it alone.
And the worst of it is, I couldn't remember the result of it, because we were scraping cats off ceilings and all sorts. And this is why I followed the thread of the little cart and the balloon and the straw and the Dyson, but didn't really participate in it, because I have a Dyson. And I knew what was going to happen. And so I refuse point blank to participate in it on the grounds that I might end up divorced.
Fiona, you're just lucky. No, your husband or your son did not film any of that on the phone or something.
I'm waiting for you guys to do the whole egg and tissue paper experiment and then have somebody walk in.
What is the egg and tissue paper experiment?
I explained it to you. That's all there is to it. I'm not like underselling it. He drops eggs on tissue paper. That's it.
What about eggs on tissue paper?
Mr. Intelligent Design would have his assistant hold a tissue paper. He would then proceed to drop an egg through it and then note that it fell through. Then he would add another tissue paper. And then he would keep doing this till the egg no longer fell through. And then he came to the conclusion. What?
Is this in its shell or out of its shell?
It's a raw egg. I asked him.
It's in the shell until he drops it. When it hits the floor, it's out of the shell.
I asked him if it mattered, and he said it doesn't matter. You can do it either way. But he used raw eggs for this. Yeah, I guess he didn't want to bother to hard boil them, so they didn't leave much of a mess. But this was his experiment to indicate intelligent design.
Why
the new intelligent design? What?
Of all the things you could use that have the same effect, why use eggs?
Allow me to explain something, though.
He said you could use a pen, too. It doesn't matter. He just decided to use eggs.
This guy did the experiment. I believe he gets up to 7 sheets of, like, tissue paper before the egg stops breaking. Before it stops breaking through. So that means he's dropped 6 eggs on the floor.
I mean, that's breakfast. That's a waste of good.
Where if he was smart, okay, you would start with 10 layers. The egg does not go through.
And then
remove half the layers to 5. Egg goes through. Then
maybe that would have demonstrated intelligent design. I don't know.
Add layers back. See, that would have been a much better experiment and a lot fewer eggs broken.
Don't use eggs. Use something else.
I know, but eggs are for dramatic effect.
Well, how about this? Here's an idea. Here's an experiment for Mr. Intelligent Designer to do. He can stand and hold his tissue paper, and I will climb up a ladder with a breeze block, and I'll drop it on him, and we'll see if it goes through the tissue paper.
What's a breeze block?
A huge big brick.
Oh, a brick. Okay, just say brick then.
Yeah. So if I do that, and then we'll scrape him off the floor.
Well, no, you have to add another piece of tissue paper and then drop another one.
We can. It's
we can't. He's already dead.
As the brick went through his skull.
Have somebody else hold the tissue paper, Fiona. I mean, come on, you're a scientist.
No, I was going to have
know how this works.
Gotta have control conditions.
Intelligent Design hold
it. If Mr. Intelligent Design holds the tissue paper, he is skewing the results because he observed them. Somebody else needs to hold the tissue paper.
But no, because that would introduce another variable. And you can't do that. Oh, sorry, a veritable. And you can't do that. You can't introduce an additional veritable.
Can somebody just send him and ask him a question, send him a message, and ask him if he's married?
Why do you fancy him?
No, because this guy's dropping eggs, playing with cleaners, all of this shit. It's like, this guy's not married, is he? He's in his mom's basement.
It was the way you said no there. That was quite good. You were so emphatic about it. Oh, dearie me.
That's what I'm saying. If you haven't watched that yet, it is funny. It gets towards the end. It's just hysterical. It is painful. There's no question about it. I mean, he's just so far out there, but I find it to be entertaining of sorts. So yes.
I completely missed that one. What does tissue paper and eggs have to do with?
Nobody knows.
Well, Dinah Cat has said it wasn't to demonstrate intelligent design. It was to define intelligence itself. And
well, there isn't any there because you dropped 6 eggs on the floor.
Well, but Dana Katz, I mean, he's not making any sense. The eggs were to demonstrate intelligent design because it was to demonstrate the intelligence to make his case that intelligent design is real. So it was to demonstrate intelligent design.
Yeah, but I'm going to have to ask this, and I really regret asking it. But how? What is intelligent about dropping eggs on tissue paper?
He couldn't understand. He couldn't explain to us because we were not in his intellectual capacity of his caliber to understand it.
Oh, we're not retards.
But no, he kept saying that we just lacked the intelligence he has because he's the smartest person on the planet.
He's also surrounded by a bloody mess on the floor.
No, he actually said, "Hey, can you get a hold of Behe and PZ and whoever else? Can you get a hold of Dembski, and so we can get him in a group so I can show them so they'll understand it because you guys don't." And I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, no, not gonna happen."
But I mean,
I have to say, though,
the only thing that's going to demonstrate is that dropping eggs on the floor gives you a sticky mess. I mean,
and makes you go hungry for breakfast.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to work this out.
Okay, all right. Maybe here's something we're missing. This could prove intelligent design, provided you put something like a frying pan or a skillet below where the eggs are falling, and therefore your experiment is at least you're thinking a little bit about what you're doing and not just making a mess.
Well, okay, but here's the thing: nobody's going to argue there isn't things that are intelligently designed. We are intelligent creatures. We can design things. The question whether intelligent design exists or not is not really that much of a existential quandary in philosophy, right? I mean, this is not.
I mean, you've reached the stage where you're saying intelligent design is real because eggs and tissue paper.
That's his argument.
Talking of eggs, somebody in the live chat is hungry for eggs. I don't know if any of you have ever tried an egg in a cup. It's something that I know Scottish mothers make when kids are ill, an egg in a cup. And you get a boiled egg and you mash it in a cup with a wee bit of salt and a wee bit of butter. And you give it to your kid with a little piece of bread and butter and a teaspoon. An egg in a cup. Comfort food.
See, Dana Cat's not really understanding this guy either. I mean, he tries to, at least he's trying to, but Dana, you're not right. He says the universe is intelligent enough to figure out how to stop an egg from breaking through having a specific thickness that will do it. No, the intelligence isn't the one that's doing that. The person is intelligent enough to find out how many layers of thickness it takes to prevent the egg from passing through. Not the universe. That's what I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to show intelligent design that we can design a system and be intelligent enough to figure this out and design it to show intelligent design, but that's not the question.
Oh, I got a question, Steve. The tissue paper in question, we're talking about Kleenex tissue paper?
2-ply.
Were they 2-ply or single-ply?
I believe they were 2-ply. It was the formula somebody came up with was E equals 2-ply.
Okay, so when he was doing this, he had 7 layers of 2-ply. So really that's 14 layers of Kleenex of tissue that he had there. I'm sorry, but his experiment was flawed. He said 7. And he's clearly got 14.
Maybe they were single. I don't know. Maybe they were single. I don't want to put words in his mouth. We were making fun of it, whether they were 2-ply or not.
Yeah, we're gonna get. Someone's got to find the times. I mean, I will. Again, I've committed to watching the whole hangout, but this is now at least the second time. Probably more for you, Steve, but I know the second time I've been one of your hangouts where this has come up. And I've committed to watch the whole thing. I wonder if people in the audience just want to go look at the egg thing because this is the second time we've talked about it. I still don't understand this conversation. So I will, but so maybe if somebody finds a timestamp for it.
Read the comments. People thought it was hilarious.
Huh.
Did anybody else besides me think that the whole conversation was just so bizarre that it was hilarious?
I'm going to have to drop out, guys, and come back. My screen's gone black. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I've just got a completely black. Well, it's a sort of greyish. I've got nothing on it. See you in a minute.
Yeah, he says he published 6 publications through Kindle, self-published. All of them have 1-star reviews. Everybody's just basically said they're just incoherent nonsense. Thank you, Paul. Paul said it was the best hangout ever. Thank you. See, I'm not the only one that thought it was just epically stupid.
Oh, I got to get the live chat open here. Am I missing stuff?
Yeah, I was asking in the live feed, and Paul G said it was the best hangout ever. It was so funny. And Paul G, I got to get with you some of these ideas I'm having. Like I said, you might have missed it earlier. I'm trying to make a video on Orphan Red. It's just, oh my God, this is so time consuming to write a script, have it, get the slides, put it. I mean, I can't even imagine how these people do full on video editings that take like an hour video. I mean, this has just been 12 hours and I've gotten like 6 minutes of footage. It's ridiculous. But I do need to find somebody that can rap. Is anybody that can really good at rapping besides like G-Man?
I know 2 people. Oh, better than G-Man. I know 2 people. Yeah. Myself, believe it or don't, middle-aged white Canadian guy, and my daughter. She's 5 years old. The white Canadian girl from the prairies.
That actually might be pretty cool, actually.
She's got the rhythm. She's got the pitch control. She's way better than G-Man.
Throw down some rap here real quick, man. Throw down something.
Do I want to beatbox while she's doing it?
Yeah, I do.
I'm not.
Come on.
I'm not child star.
Well,
okay, that was not me. That's not me doing that. That's
okay. No, I've got a parody song that I kind of wrote that I kind of want to have somebody sing, because I tried doing with a synthesized voice and it just doesn't work because you can't get the variable timing right, obviously, to match the song. So, but it's a pretty funny song, I thought.
CRISPR types. Prove it, HTC. Prove it right now here in the Hangout that I can rap better than G-Man. Me talking in this conversation is me rapping better than G-Man.
Give me some Eminem.
No. Hey, that's not rapping. That's a totally different sound.
But if anybody, I'll toss you like the first stanza or something, and then see if you can like do something with it.
No, I'm not doing it here. I'll
not right here, but I mean later.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I this video may take some time to actually finally produce, but we'll see. I'm just trying out brand new software, so it is what it is.
I'm setting up my. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was trying to get John, the independent variable quantum eraser guy, to talk to you in one of your hangouts. He seems disinterested, which is kind of funny because he's always clamoring to get into hangouts. He did so with Flat Earth discussions and Flat Earth debates. So I asked him, I'm like, well, the only one that really wants to engage with you for some reason is Hogtie, because he probably doesn't know the level of stupidity he's in for.
I may be reversing that position. Yeah. I've watched that thread really devolve. Again, to catch up people who may not have followed it, you got quite a few viewers here now, so I'll see what happened. I posted. Why did that start? Oh yeah. So okay, yeah. Steve very wisely and skillfully got Dr. Mary Schweitzer to join us for a conversation. Most people would have seen that conversation, and then afterwards, what's the guy's name? Starts with a C.
Cathaxis.
Yeah, because he's. Was I going to say? Yeah. So he hosted, and this guy John is just blah 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 blah. Right. John goes on. He's quantum eraser. He goes on, and it's just crazy stuff. Like he's, a lot of just sort of, so and so's a poopy pants. So it was just not very good. But it's like a 2-hour video, and I watched it, and I put a comment on there saying that it was funny that he made a couple of these mistakes or whatever. And other people had posted some comments. It wasn't that big of a deal. But on the thread, then I had the flu for a couple of days. And then I came back and there was like 45 replies on that thread, including this quantum eraser fellow just going loony. And now I think it's up to 90 some. Fiona's gone in there with a couple of really good comments. Fiona's had some gold on that one. But I just find it, I just read his stuff. I just go, what is wrong with you? And it's, it makes to reflect again on like, who do we have conversations with? I mean, I get, and I know you guys get this too, a lot of comments from viewers who say, why do you waste your time talking to fill in the blank? I get it a lot for Arcane, because I have Arcane over any time. Arcane can join my hangouts, whatever. And then I get all these messages. Why do you let her? Okay, well, no, I'm not, by the way, I'm not criticizing people for making that comment, because it is a legitimate question and something I do need to be mindful of myself. Why do I waste my time talking to Arcane or to G-Man or whoever else? But we're always sort of like seeking for the right margin of crazy. Because if you talk to a sensible believer, you just bore people, right? Like I'm there might be some interesting conversations you can have about faith or about science or something that But when there's really no disagreement and the believer actually comes across as sensible, it's just not interesting. It's not good TV. So you do that for its purposes. You do that when you're actually serious about the material you're discussing. But when you're doing the thing about how, well, look, we're gonna try to help show you the dangers of radical religiosity, you need to find somebody who's radically religious. You can't talk to a sensible person, and the crazier the better. But there is an upper limit to that. There's some people, you know, and like I listened to that thing. I'm going back 2 years. Jungle Jargon and J.D. Kane had a thing from the Amazon, you know, walked in the sand. What do you think? That thing, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. And I just went, how is JD doing that? Like, I don't get that. Like, I cannot have a conversation with Jungle Jargon.
Right. Yeah. He's beyond that upper bound. Yeah.
And I thought, well, this quantum eraser, when I listened to him in the hangout he did in response to the conversation you hosted with Dr. Schweitzer, I thought, okay, well, he's got some stuff to say. So I called Steve and I said, look, do you know this guy? Oh, you don't? Well, you talked to him a bit. Okay, well, can we do something? You know? And then I watched what he wrote on the thread after that. And I just think now, shudder. Set me up another thing with Nephilim Free. I haven't talked to Nephilim Free for 2 years. I'll do that before I'll talk to Quantum Eraser.
I've dealt with him in the Flat Earth discussions before, and I mean, I didn't put two and two together until somebody had pointed out that it was independent variable John, even though I've got his email and I should have recognized it, but I didn't. But we were dealing with him on the Flat Earth channels, and yeah, it was just amazing the amount of overwhelming scientific ineptitude this guy had. And he's trying to relate to people about hypotheses and scientific testing, and literally he gets everything wrong. I mean, he'll take actual science, don't get me wrong, and then he'll just somehow filter this through his creationist brain and end up with a parody of it.
Sure. Well, he's wrong about stuff, and it's okay that he's wrong about stuff. But let's and if Fiona's got her gear working here, maybe we can, because I'm kind of curious. What were you thinking, Fiona? No, literally, what were you thinking when you're reading this guy's stuff, and then you think, okay, I'm going to type something in response, and then I'm going to read what he says. Like, what thoughts does this put in your brain? So let's bullet point a couple of them. At one point, he launched in this thing, Quantum Eraser launches on this thing about, well, what's your independent variable? What's your independent variable? What's your independent variable? Just ask that question over and over again. And then Fiona's used in this example, time would be the independent variable. And okay, so Quantum Eraser has a little misunderstanding here. Quantum Eraser is of the opinion that time can never be an independent variable in any experiment or observation. Okay, so that's a mistaken belief, and we can discuss that if you want. But that's not even my point here. My point is he goes, what's your independent variable? And Fiona says, well, that would be time. And he goes, well, shows what you know. Time is never.
Bold, never.
You know, and is like, you know, you're such an idiot, Fiona, because you think time can ever possibly be. And he was so smug and snotty about it. And I don't like being that smug. I like smug and snotty a little bit, but I could never dial it up to that number, even when I'm right about something. You certainly don't do it when you're that completely ass backwards wrong.
Well, I even sent him showing that time could be independent or dependent upon your situation, and in certain conditions, like for the whole, what was it? I sent him something on data analysis and the specific type of system they were using. Time was always the independent variable. So for him to say that it's never, it's just complete bullshit.
It generally is, but Fiona's piping in.
Oh, sorry.
You're a little quiet, Fiona. You lean in a bit, Fiona.
The thing that got me about that,
I'll turn around,
was the fact that he said, but how do you manipulate time? The experimenter can't manipulate time. Yes, they can, by the decision of when to observe. So if you're talking about the constellations, you've manipulated the time of observation by choosing to observe in the spring, then observe in the summer, then observe in the autumn. In other words, you're making the exact same observation with the exact same equipment. And the only thing that has varied is the time of observation.
Yeah, all the other things would be the same. I think maybe I think Fiona and I part ways a little bit, but only on the semantic issue. I think she's saying that in a way, I'm taking it that way as a sort of a an expressive way. I'm uncomfortable with the use of the word manipulate there because it's slightly misleading. And as soon as you say, well, scientists think they can manipulate time, like it just sounds so wild. And no, what it means is that it's the variable of control. It's the thing you're saying. Well, we are going to choose when we make the observation. Now, time will still flow as it flows. Yeah. I mean, it could be noted, and again, this is a bit of a linguistic thing, that there's two senses we use the word time, and unfortunately for communication, for the nature of measurement, you got to be careful which way. When we say the time of, we almost always mean it's an independent variable. We say the time for, then it's sometimes can be a dependent variable. And what I mean by that is if you say, well, the time of this observation, so we're going to make the observation at 8 a.m., at 10 a.m., at 12 p.m., at 2 p.m. Those are the times of the observations. Time is flowing. We're going to make an observation every 2 hours. In that case, it would be an independent variable. But sometimes the time of, or the time for, so I'm using the word time of differently now. When you're measuring an interval of time, that can sometimes be a dependent variable. So, for example, the amount of time required for somebody to complete a list of 10 intermediate level mathematics problems might be something that you would measure as a dependent variable, and you might test them after 0 drinks, after 2 drinks, after 4 drinks, after 6 drinks, in which case alcohol consumption would be your independent variable, and the dependent variable would be the time for, or the time required to do a particular task. But you see what I mean? In one case, you're sort of doing things at a particular time, and in the other one, you're measuring time required for something to happen, or latency until something starts. So those are two very different senses of the way it's used.
I like
Fiona's example. He asked me, is my volume any better?
Yeah, I turned you up. But I like your example, Fiona, because you basically said all things being equal, same equipment, right? The only thing you're changing is the time that you're observing, making time a variable. I like that.
Well, yeah, because that was what they was discussing with, I think it was CRISPR. No, it was rational mind. They were talking about the constellations. And yeah, that is the only thing that has changed. I also gave the example of, like, when you're looking at, bacterial growth curve, and you sample every, say, half hour or every hour, counting the number of cells that are present. It's changing nothing else, except each time you count, some time has passed, and so and you end up with the growth of the bacteria being time dependent.
Well, there is, actually, there's a great phrase right there, time dependent, which shows that you're independent. There is one subtle point that I thought about. Well, I'm going to put a post on there that explains this one subtle point. And then I thought, I'd screw it, because this he's just lost. You can't have a conversation with him anyway. So that, but I'll mention it here only briefly, and that is that there's the potential. Like when they explain science to you in grade 8 or grade 9, they've got to keep it pretty simple. And there's a potential that those simple explanations end up entrenching in your mind, and you sort of overgeneralize it. So the idea of an independent variable being a cause and a dependent variable being an effect. So independent, dependent, and cause effect. Those two things end up getting yoked together, and that's not exactly how it works. When you design an experiment or you take observations, even quasi-experimentally or non-experimentally, that is not to say that you're either assuming or concluding that the independent variable causes the dependent variable. There are many examples where that is the case, but that's not what those things mean. And where it gets to be a little bit weird is because there's another good rule of thumb, and that is when you're talking about a cause, so time usually is your independent variable. You don't normally have time as an independent variable, but time is never a cause. And there may be somebody might point an exception here, but as a general rule, you don't say that time is a cause. So, for example, if you do a reading test on a kid that's 6 years old, reading comprehension, and then you do it again when the kid's 12 years old, well, they're going to do better on that reading comprehension test. And if somebody says, well, what caused the change in performance? And if your answer is, well, 6 years. No. 6 years, the passage of time doesn't cause improvements in reading comprehension or cognition or trees to grow taller. Time doesn't cause trees to grow taller. Might I elaborate? Let's leave it at that. I think people know what I mean.
No,
I'm just saying, be careful in your language when people start saying, well, this was caused by the passage of time. Stop and think when you say that most cultured scientists would wince when you say things like that out loud.
Yeah, I think though it's trying to communicate with someone who is so fractally wrong in just about everything that they say, and you're trying to find ways to express it, and it's very difficult sometimes.
It is, and it's derailing, and I find it sometimes deflating. Like when that discussion was going on, and I started thinking about, this is interesting. Like, I'm interested in talking about some of these issues from science and the sort of the fundamental assumptions and how scientists communicate ideas about how to investigate other ideas. I mean, I'm bouncing in my chair as I talk about this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. But then when you're in a thread with somebody who's posting things like somebody says, well, the flat earth model doesn't explain whatever. I think Rational said that. And then Quantum Eraser says, model. Oh my God, like model. Don't you realize that model is non-scientific? It's completely, models are pseudoscience. No real science happens with models.
Oh, that did my head in.
Yeah, that's what I said. When Fiona says fractally wrong, and I do love that phrase. That's such a great expression because it's true. It does. You can stand back and look and go, yeah, that guy's generally wrong. And then the closer you look at every detail, he's also wrong about the details. And my problem is, I'm just, I had the flu. I'm busy doing other stuff, and I come back and I glance at the thread, and I mean, from down, out the room and down the hallway, just looking at what's going on in that conversation, I just go, oh my God, that guy's dumb. I can't even dive in at that point.
I mean, you don't know where to start. You really don't know where to start. You don't know what level to start on. And that's the difficulty.
I can't respond to him anymore because, again, he writes so much and he's prepared himself. He doesn't take correction. So what's the point?
Well, I've just christened him Little Johnny. Because and I don't do that very often, but in his case, I've made an exception. Quantum Eraser.
Yeah,
so I translated that to Little Johnny because a quantum, smallest rubber.
Yeah,
and most people know what Rubber Johnny is.
The problem is that there's somebody else in the thread that I would like to have carried a conversation with, right? Betty von Belsen. She's a flat earth nutter, but she at least were having a dialogue. And now she's denigrated into basically parroting what he's saying rather than understanding the material. And that's unfortunate. Because again, there is a damaging effect these people have when people say, why do we do this? Because we want to show, like Hogtie points out, what extreme religiosity or extreme conspiratorial thinking does. It does affect other people because other people look at this stuff and they start believing it because they don't have the ability or the background or the knowledge or the prerequisites to see through the bullshit, which is really apparent to most people. I mean, you don't. I'm no offense to the people, the learned people in here, but you don't have to have these people's qualifications and these people's level of experience to see through these guys' bullshit. You really don't. It just makes it all the more painful if you do. This is why Fiona probably drinks a lot at night before she goes to bed.
Oh, I wish. I really do wish.
God.
I don't know. Without... I'll put it in the side chat again. Oh, dear. I'm so sorry. I'm struggling, guys. I'm half asleep. I'm trying to change my body clock.
I just really wish I could carry a conversation with that Betty chick. Again, I was having a nice dialogue with her. And now she's on this whole independent-dependent variable kick. And I think another guy's joined in, Adam something, and then JD Kane joined in. And it's very hard to carry on conversation at that point, which is one of the reasons why I don't like responding things in threads to begin with. I don't write an exceptional amount on the threads anymore because, one, I know that people don't really read them unless you're Hogtie Champ, and even he has a too long didn't read version. But it's hard to respond to their wall of text with any kind of real intent, because it's just so out there, and I don't feel like really saying the same things over again, which I've already pointed out the problems that John has, right? Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but eventually you just got to go, well, I'm not even going to deal with this anymore. And then they say, oh, look, this one guy, Adam, was like, oh, well, I understand that John fluxums you guys. I'm like, well, the fluxum comes from the fact that he's so goddamn stupid that is literally is like trying to explain differential equations to a 2-year-old.
A gerbil.
Yeah, a gerbil probably might have a better understanding.
Yeah.
So where do you go? I mean, where these people have the most unbelievable textbook cases of decay I've ever seen. They woefully overestimate their abilities.
Yeah. I upset my husband the other morning. I was still in bed and he came upstairs and all he heard was me shouting, "I'm going to trade you in for a gerbil." And he got all upset. I was actually shouting at a cat. He thought I was shouting at him. I wondered why I was trading him in for a gerbil. But no, the cats have actually taken to fighting on top of my stomach at about 6 o'clock in the morning. It's not going down well. Sorry, I just thought I'd throw that in when we mentioned gerbils. And
well, anyways, I mean, I just want to have a hangout and go over a little bit of C. Brown's thread to get it on record for posterity. Not worth really, making a video about, but it's something that we should definitely continue to monitor. I really think that he's in the front runner for Dumbfuck of the Year. I know the doctor is actually making an archive of some of these comments and things of that nature, because after years, like, who remember all the dumb shit they said? But right now, C. Brown has my vote. He's just gone off the complete edge of sanity, and he's just taking these things that he reads and then misapplies them across the board, like the whole lightning and Z-pinch thing. I mean, he just takes the fact that they've used electromagnetic or semi-electrical discharges, aka lightning, to form Z-pinch in controlled conditions. Doesn't mean that all of a sudden in the sky you're going to have lightning and you're going to have heavy isotopes produced. It doesn't work that way. But that's what I noticed from these guys. They take a small thing and they run with it across the board and say, "Oh, look, this light bulb's fluorescent. Must be the Earth is fluorescent." It's not, the fact that the sun's 93 million miles away. It's 3 miles above us, and it's just fluorescence. Oh, it just hurts.
What can you say to that though? Nothing. Well,
I mean, I'm naive. A little part of me still wants to think these people knows they're bullshitting. I mean, I'm still flummoxed and flabbergasted that there are people on this planet this fucking stupid. That's not elitism. That's not making myself be any smart than anybody else, because I'm the most self-deprecating person in this community. I realize my limitations. I'm woefully self-aware of them. But these people are just, I can't even fathom how they function in the society with their degree of stupidity. And these are the people that are putting out videos, it's like, oh God. So I hope I'll get my video out by end of next week. If not, then I'm gonna say, fuck it, I'll do something else, because it's time consuming. And I have fixed the voice a little bit. I've changed the timing of it, and I've changed the phonetics a little bit, so it sounds a little more natural. Fiona?
Yeah, I like the voice.
I like the voice too. I'm not gonna lie. Some people didn't,
but
I
like that voice.
And I think it's very, easy to listen to. Again, I changed a little bit on it, so it sounds like they're pronouncing the words a little bit better. But anyways, we'll wrap this up. I am having a hangout again on Friday with Mr. Intelligent Design. We're gonna have a little contest of who can come up with a name for that hangout. And what we have every week, like hanging with Mr. ID, or the Mr. ID Learning Hour, Drag suggested. I got to think of something, because I really want him to be a regular guest, because he's just fucking hilarious. I again reached out to Jen Peoples. Hopefully she'll get back to me by the end of the day.
That'd be good.
And get her on. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And let's see what else is going on. Well, that's about it. Oh yeah, PZ Myers this weekend. He says he's back from his trip, so we're going to make that happen. Hopefully this Saturday or Sunday during the daytime, so people can actually listen in. He's I think he's in New York time, isn't he? Yeah,
I think so.
I don't remember. Well, I know he was in New York not too long ago, so I don't remember where he's from. But that's gonna be fun, and we'll just talk about Tompkins' work and stuff like that. But anyways, with that note, I'll bring this one to a close. And if you got any suggestions,
I will actually maybe hosting another hangout I mean, if you're opening another one up, Steve, but just if people are bored, just make sure to check the feed once in a while. Check my feed. I'll probably give about 15-20 minutes notice or something before I start one up. But yeah, I'm in a chit-chatty mood, so I may host one later tonight.
Go for it. Yeah, okay. I look forward to that too. I'll probably listen in or join, and I'll be playing a game. But yeah, that'd be cool actually. So Hogtie's gonna run one a little bit later. I had it's 7 o'clock my time, so there you go, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.